Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Sports. And after Rassie Erasmus's team announcement, we got a bit of an injury update into what is happening within the Springbok camp. And there is some good news and some really, really unfortunate news with a big injury boost, but also a big injury setback. And I think this is going to kind of be a bit of a theme for the Springbok camp this year. We're going to have lots of players in and out of the squad and teams, I reckon. I mean, obviously, this weekend, we've pretty much gone as strong as we possibly can. But I do think as the season sort of develops, we will start to see different combinations and we'll start to see quite a few different players kind of being cycling through. I think the closer we'll get to a decent run of games of a similar side will be the greatest rivalry tour, where I think we will probably sort of see potentially, up to 30, maybe more players being used, but kind of a smaller core group of players being cycled as Rassie Erasmus really tries to obviously win that series and prepare all the players that are going to go to the World Cup next year or in the mix to go to the World Cup against some of the best teams possible, which will obviously include the All Blacks. Before we get into it, please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Please do become a member of the Forever Sports Members Club. 2 tickets to the Springboks versus the All Blacks in September up for grabs within our members. So make sure you click on the link in the description, join our Members Club, and become a member. So, sad news. Riley Norton out for 8 to 10 weeks with a serious hamstring injury, which will probably rule him out of any involvement in the greatest rivalry tour, and potentially might mean that he might miss out on a debut for the Boks this year, unless maybe he gets an opportunity against Australia in September or goes on the end of year tour. But with the amount of blocks that were currently injured, no Arches Nemo, no Franco Mostert, no Lood de Jager, this was kind of the opportunity for him to potentially put his hand up and get a potential cap. And Rassie basically, he said as much in terms of that he was on the list to play and that he was looking to give Riley Norton a first test cap. But it happened at training, apparently right towards the end, and obviously didn't train today and is out for this weekend, as well as what seems to be kind of the remainder of the first part of the international season. It's a big blow for a player who really has come from nowhere. I mean, not entirely, we all know who he is, but a month ago, we didn't even think he was in the Springbok plans. He's then since played for the Springboks against the Barbarians, been named in the final Springbok squad, and I think could have potentially featured at least against Wales in the next week or two. And this sort of shows you how timing can be everything, but it can also be the worst possible thing. So, he was in it at a time where it was an opportunity for him to get a potential test cap, but then the worst timing for an injury has come in that. And we need to be careful with our youngsters as well. Rassie basically spoke about the fact that he doesn't think it was their fault, inverted commas. He said, but lots of the youngsters do need to get used to the intensity and they will need to adapt. And, that this is a unfortunate consequence of being in sort of these environments, the likes of that. So it is a rugby injury. He said at the end of the day, he was chasing something down during a session and kind of just pulled up, and that was it. But Jaco Williams, for example, had a hamstring injury and is back in the mix. In terms of our other locks, Franco Mostert is not available this weekend, but it's hopefully going to be available next weekend, or if not the weekend after. We also have Lood de Jager, who's potentially going to be available next weekend. He's out with sickness, so no injury or anything like that for Lood, but it is an illness that is keeping him out. Rassie also spoke about Wilco and basically said that he's had a very tough last few months, that there has been a bit of personal loss within his life and some personal issues, as well as obviously the illness that he was suffering during the URC playoffs. I mean, he even threw up in the URC final, missed the quarterfinal due to illness. So he hasn't been at full fitness as Wilco, and he basically said to Rassie that they would like to have him have another week. That maybe he probably could have played this weekend, but they would like to have him get him through another week and then kind of really get him ready to hopefully go against Scotland and Wales. And as a result, Zach Porthen gets a go, which I don't think is somebody who's going to let you down, to be honest. Obviously, he's not going to bring quite the impact at scrum time that Wilco is, but it's a very, very mobile replacement bench. There are no players there who are not going to be quick around the park, especially when you think like Andre Esterhuizen could potentially be coming on at flank. The best news and the gem that kind of just snuck into it is that Ethan Hooker has recovered from his shoulder injury, and he will join the Springbok squad next week and could even play hopefully in the next week or two. And that was somebody who we thought we kind of had basically intimated around the greatest rivalry tour would kind of make a comeback and hopefully try and play against the Sharks, might be able to get a Bok game towards the end of the month. He wasn't really on the radar to make a recovery this quickly and to be within the Boks squad already. So that's a huge boost for the Boks. And it'll be really cool to see him out against Wales in a bit of a comeback game, kind of a stretch of the legs. We've also seen that Kobus Reinach, who Rassie originally had said wasn't going to be fit for this weekend, is on the bench, so he's obviously also recovered nicely. So whilst there are big injury issues, there are some nice injury recoveries, which is really good to see. Kobus being ahead of schedule, Ethan Hooker being ahead of schedule, Franco Mostert, Lood de Jager being in and around, coming back. So hopefully by the time we get to the All Blacks, we will have all four of those locks fully fit. It'll just be Arceus Snyman who's unavailable. We'll have Ethan Hooker back into the mix. We won't have Sasha, we won't have Riley Norton, for example. There are a couple of longer-term injuries, but Wilco Low will hopefully be up to full fitness and be a big option. Thomas Latoy is obviously back into the mix. So we've got some really, really good options. I think Andre Pollard will play in the next week or two, but obviously Manu gets to go this weekend. Dame Williams has played a lot of rugby, so he'll play this weekend, but I don't expect him to play all three tests over here. I expect him to probably play this test, maybe next weekend, and then probably gets a couple of weeks off so he can get ready for the greatest rivalry tour. He is a player who they flagged as having played a lot of rugby this past season, and they would like to probably give him a bit of a rest. So there's definitely going to be opportunities for other players to kind of get a stretch and to get a bit of a run out. And the main thing for other players who are in and around the squad, think of like a Kobus Visa, for example. They need to try and make sure that they stay in full fitness and that they are ready to step in, because I think that with the kind of the seasons and how long our seasons are these days, injuries are becoming more common, and it's a very big part of trying to balance things within the squad for coaches. And if you're not kind of in the mix, all you got to do is try and get yourself fit and make sure that when you get the opportunity, see if you can get a run of game, see if you can make sure you're available. Something like a Joan Augustus, people keep asking why hasn't he been selected? Well, he's currently injured. He's not available for selection, and I think he's missing golden opportunity. I'm not saying it's his fault, but if he wasn't injured, for example, this could have been an opportunity for him to make a statement. Cameron Harnicum now gets that chance. He'll get a second cap this weekend. Zach Portland's going to get his fourth cap this weekend, and that's largely due to the fact that Wilco Low is not quite ready. So one man's missing out is another man's opportunity, really, and now it's about taking opportunities. We've got a World Cup in just over a year's time, and time is running out for players to make a mark, to make statements, to get themselves into that World Cup mix. So let me know what you think down in the comments below. Which injury are you most excited to see sort of coming back? Ethan Hooker's definitely one of the exciting ones. But let me know down in the comments below. Smash a like on the video. Become a member of the channel. Get yourself into the mix to win tickets to go watch the Boks versus the All Blacks at the FNB Stadium by joining the Members Club. Link in the description below. My name is Steve. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll chat to you soon.